Welcome back to Thinking Cap, and as always, we're going to start this week with my Game Week 6 recap guide, where it will run through key stats from each and every Game Week 6 match to help you identify some rising stars, standout performers, declining assets, and just much, much more. Thinking Cap activated. Before we begin, quick shout out to Fantasy Football Scout. I'm using their members area in all of my recap guides, so if you do like what you see, go check it out via the link in the video description below. Starting with Manchester United 0, Spurs 3, 0.96 XG for Manchester United accumulated across the whole game, and 4.59 for Tottenham Hotspurs, which is one of the highest that we've seen in the last decade from any team in terms of XG produced in a game. That could be because of the red card, it could be because of other factors, but I do think Spurs had a really, really good game and we had a very, very poor one. If we look at chances created, which is what I want to start with, in terms of how many were created on the left flank, centrally, and right flank. For Manchester United, most of it's coming through the left and centrally. And for Spurs, interestingly, most of everything is coming centrally with Madison and what's his name, Solanke, doing very well in central areas. And then a lot of it's coming from the right flank, obviously because Brennan Johnson's doing very well, and only a little bit through the left flank in this game. And if you look at average position, last week on the recap guide, we said Solanke was actually hugging in this kind of position here on the left side of the pitch with Madison over here, and this was Son, right? And so Solanke drifted towards Son. Now, when Werner was playing that in this game, Solanke really drifted out to the right-hand flank with Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski close to him. And if you notice, Udogi's actually much higher than Pedro Porro in this game just because Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski have been playing very well attacking-wise. But I thought that was an interesting trend to note. So if you're looking at Spurs assets, get one of those guys who is playing either on the right-hand side or centrally. But of course, Son was not in this game, so it's not as trustworthy data, but I still think it's been a trend. Spurs have been creating a lot of chances centrally. Now we'll move on to the XG in the game. Spurs put up 3.35 from open play and 1.24 from set plays. Manchester United 0.82 from open play and 0.14 from set plays. So basically what that tells you is Spurs are putting up decent amount attacking set piece XG, and they're putting up a lot from open play. So they're a very, very good attack to look at it for investment. If we take a look at non-pen expected goal involvement in this match, we had Dominic Solanke with 1.34, who was the top in the game, and then it was actually Brennan Johnson with 1.12, and from United, the highest was actually Lisandro Martinez with 0.27, which is very interesting, and that just tells you declining assets. You can probably put the United attackers in there, especially with no Bruno in the next couple of games. I don't think you should be touching any United attackers, and obviously rising stars I'd put there, Brennan Johnson. And if we look at Kulusevski, he put up 0.82. I think that was top 3 in the game. Very, very, very impressive from Kulusevski, and he's one to watch as well, with Dominic Solanke a standout performer in this game. We'll quickly take a look at the distribution before we move on to the next match. But yeah, I was really, really disappointed with this game from Manchester United. I was hoping for a little bit more, but I did do my predictions, which I do every week on Benji FPL, and I did predict a Manchester United loss in this game. If we look at chances created and big chances created, Kulusevski dominating with 9 chances created and 3 big chances created. So perhaps he's one to add to your rising stars in FPL list and one to watch in the coming game weeks. Man City 1, Newcastle 1. This was the early kickoff. 1.57 XG total from Newcastle United and 0.91 for Manchester City. If we come to take a look at the average position, we can see that Haaland actually was a little bit deeper than what you would have expected. Not really too much high up, but I don't think City had their best game. Come to look at the chances created, and 46.2% of City's total chances came down their left flank. That would be Gavardio plus Grealish, and only 15.4% coming down their right flank, who did start there. I believe it was Bernardo Silva who started in the right wing spot. And then a lot coming centrally, obviously coming to Haaland, Gundogan with a few chances. And for Newcastle is actually the right flank, so their right attacking flank, which is the same flank as Gavardio and Grealish. So that was really the point out thing in the game. I think Eddie Howe definitely targeted that right flank from a attacking perspective, just because he knew Gavardio would be bombing on, and he knew that Grealish would also be there, and there was more space to attack in that spot. If we take a look at the expected non-pen XGI for the game, Haaland's still top. Right, he was still top in the game, so if you do think he's a declining asset, I definitely would not agree with that. I don't think he had his best game, and it was just one of those. Now, Gundogan did have a lot of XG as well. He was second top in this game, and then Grealish with 0.34. I would put Grealish in my rising stars category just because I think that he could do very well if he's getting consistent starts in that Man City team. Obviously, where's Gvardiol on this? So Gvardiol didn't actually get that much XG, 0.10, and it was only 0.08 XG that he scored from. So it was a very, very, very good finish. We come to look at the chances created. Grealish also standing out with 5 chances created and 1 big chance created in this match, and he was the standout really. Obviously Anthony Gordon did do a very, very good penalty, but that was basically it. And if we look at it from the XG perspective for the teams, Man City were created more from open play, 0.89, and Newcastle with 0.53 open play XG, with Newcastle also putting up 0.26 set play XG. So what that tells you is Newcastle at home, they're pretty solid to beat. And on my list, I would be putting Grealish in the rising stars. Arsenal 4, Leicester City 2, 4.6 XG from Arsenal in this game, and only 0.32 for Leicester City. You can just see how lucky Leicester City were, or how good their finishes were for Leicester to be putting up 2 goals. And if we come to look at the distribution, and we look at chances created, Arsenal 64% of total chances created came down the right flank. So that would be Saka. Basically, everything is going through Bukayo Saka, and everything for Leicester is coming down their left flank. Nothing centrally for Vardy, nothing from their right hand side flank, which just tells you if you're looking at a Leicester City player, most likely should be one of the wingers. I think Mavididi was playing on that side, and we can actually have a check of that. It was Mavididi playing on the left flank. So Mavididi is the one that I would be looking at if you're looking at a Leicester City player. But honestly, it's not that much. And we come into the total baseline BPS, which is basically without goals or assists, what are the players putting up basically? And Bukayo Saka without any returns hit 36 baseline, which is extremely impressive. You can see here Hermansen with 14 saves hit 35 baseline BPS. Saka with 36 is incredible. That's something that's it's very, very rare to see such a high baseline BPS, which just shows you everything's going through Saka, and this guy, he's creating all the chances, he's getting all the fouls, and he's getting the shots on target, which is exactly what you want to see from your 10 million asset. He was extremely lucky, guys. Unlucky, guys. Extremely unlucky not to get the assist, which I'm sure they're going to appeal in a couple days, but the problem is it's not appealed by the end of the deadline. Saka won't get the points. This exact same thing happened in game week 30, or no, game week 21, 22 with Arsenal and Saka from corner. Crystal Palace at home, and Saka lost the assist. So it really does hurt. It was really painful just to see the roller coaster of Saka go from 7 to 5 to 3. It was just really painful this week, and it's one of those things where you just kind of want to turn off FPL. But if we look at non-pen XGI in this game, Trossard dominated with 1.23, and Havertz with 1.93, who I believe was the highest in this match. What was Bukayo Saka at? He was at 1.08, so still really solid from Saka. And if we look at the assist potential, chances created and big chances created, we have Bukayo Saka with 8 chances created, 4 big chances created, which is very impressive. So standout performer in this game is definitely Bukayo Saka. A couple rising stars, I would put in Mavididi. I would also put in Trossard and Martinelli. And in the declining players, I would probably put Jamie Vardy, just because he's not really getting the volume of shots, and it's an 80-minute sub every week, guys. I really wouldn't be considering Jamie Vardy just because of look how deep he's playing. I know it was against Arsenal, but if this guy doesn't get a chance in the game, he won't score, and he's not getting many chances at all. Chelsea 4, Brighton 2, 4.16 XG Chelsea put up, and 1.11 for Brighton. So actually Brighton pretty solid XG away from home at a top 6 ground, but Chelsea absolutely dominated this game. It was the PALMER show. And if we come to look at the open play XG, Brighton put up 0.99, which is very good for a away team playing at a big 6 side. And we've also got 0.12 XG from set play from Brighton, so not really that much. I remember when Hurtzeller came, everyone was screaming about, obviously he's a very good set piece coach. I thought we were going to see some of this set play XG kind of come through, but we haven't really seen that, so that definitely lowers the appeal of a Lewis Dunk in the game right now. And we look at Chelsea, 3.14 XG from open play. Obviously they had the pen, which is 0.79 XG added, and a little bit from set plays too, but 3.14 open play XG is really good, guys, and it just tells you that this Chelsea attack is flowing right now. If we come to look at the chances created, look at Chelsea. It's 25, 25, 25 from the left-hand side, the center, and the right flank, which just shows you it's pretty balanced all around from the Chelsea attack. Wherever you're looking for investment, it's pretty good. But obviously, the central players of Jackson and Palmer have better expected minutes. So if you're looking at Chelsea, definitely go and get one of those. And if we come to the expected data and have a look at Palmer, it's 2.24 non-pen XGI. So even without the pen, because it's non-pen, he did dominate XGI, and that tells you that we were all screaming about, okay, Palmer, it's all XA right now. There's not much XG, and I think that was a factor that pushed a lot of people off Palmer. Well, the XG has arrived now. Palmer has arrived now in the goal threat, and he's looking like a very, very, very nice pick. I did sell him on my wildcard this week on the final day, which was extremely painful. But it's just one of those things I shouldn't have backed against Cole Palmer, and it happens. We look at Jackson, obviously, look, that Chelsea striker spot is going to put up a lot of XG this season. I was 1.43 and 1.37 XG, not even XGI, 1.37 XG from Nicholas Jackson, which is really, really good. You're getting a lot of goal threat in that position. And we come to look at Welbeck, obviously put up a little bit, and Rutter. As we've been saying, that Brighton number 10 spot, it puts up a lot of XG. So whenever João Pedro's back, he's going to be in most of our teams. Baleba with a little bit. And interestingly, Cucurella with a lot of XA, 0.38. And if we come to look at Sancho, who is definitely on my rising stars for FPL in the coming game weeks, he's on the list, 0.3 total, which isn't amazing, but look, Sancho, he's going to win a lot of pens this season. I guarantee you, and if you've got him and Palmer, you're going to be cooking this season, which is why I really like him from that perspective. We come to look at chances created, big chances created. I'm sure Cole Palmer will be dominating 4 big chances created, the most in the game, and 3 big chances created too. So Cole Palmer definitely on standout performers, and I would also put Sancho in rising stars. And if you're looking at some declining trends, some declining players, I would put that Brighton defense there, because it looks like Hurtel is going to be stubborn with this high line, and I'm not sure playing a high line with Lewis Dunk and Veltman is a very, very smart strategy. Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. And it was 2.54 XG for Liverpool in this game, only 0.63 from Wolverhampton Wanderers. If we come to look at the chances created in this game, Liverpool actually 42.9% down their left flank, so that would be Robertson plus Diaz. Obviously, Robertson had a very, very good game. He had that one that he squared to Szoboszlai. I thought Szoboszlai should have put that in. And obviously, 42.9% of Liverpool's total chances created came down the center of the pitch where Diogo Jota is. And you can see the trend is following, where Diogo Jota is actually playing a little bit more central here, and Diaz obviously close to him, with Mo Salah being the deepest player. But when Cody Gakpo comes on, obviously that does change. And for Wolves, everything coming down their left side, that would be Aït-Nouri in this game, although I do think Liverpool are very, very strong centrally with a double pivot and the 2 center backs. So if that's probably a trend that could change in the future. If we come to look at the expected stats here, when it loads, I think that Liverpool did put up, yes, they did put up a lot of XG from open play, 1.49, with Wolves putting 0.58. And it was a little bit of set play XG from Liverpool too. But that just tells you Liverpool's still grinding out the XG from open play. And people who were thinking, Wolves were going to get smashed and whatnot and whatnot, Wolves are 20th in the table, right? I feel like the team who's always bottom, they do push to have a really, really, really strong game, just because they are bottom of the table. And if we come to look at expected stats here, with non-pen XGI, Szoboszlai was top in this game with 0.76, and Mo Salah, even without the pen, was second top. So that just shows you, if you're wondering when should I sell Mo, I don't know, because it's going to be hard. He's still getting the data. He's still putting up the non-pen XGI, and obviously he has good routes to points with Liverpool penalties. Liverpool will win a lot of penalties this season. And Robertson actually 0.56. So he is definitely on my rising stars in FPL, because you can save a 6 million. If you look at what Trent did, only 0.19 non-pen XGI from Trent, with Robertson getting most of the joy. But I do think that was because Wolves were a bit weaker on that side of the pitch compared to the other side. So, but Robertson, obviously, pretty good game from him. He had that big chance, as we said before, and Konate, who scored from a 0.17 chance. Quickly, let's go look at the chances created in the game. Nothing really stand out from anyone. Salah with 2 chances created still, which is top. Aït-Nouri with 2. Only 4.4 million, this guy, and he's very, very attacking. Obviously got the goal from the nice little tap in, but but the fact that he's given the license to be in those positions is a very, very important thing to note in FPL. He's a rising star for me with good fixtures, game week 10 and Aston Villa 2, Ipswich Town 2. 1.18 XG for Ipswich Town and only 0.82 from Aston Villa. And Aston Villa are usually an XG monster. So seeing Ipswich actually dominate the XG total outcome across the game just tells you that Ipswich's game plan was really smart with the 4-2-4 that they kind of set up in, and I really liked how they played the game. Now, if we come to look at the expected stats, it was 1.04 open play from Ipswich and 0.73 from Aston Villa. So actually, Ipswich created a lot of open play XG against a very reasonably good side, although we know that Aston Villa's defense is not very, very good. Now, if we come to look at the chances created, Aston Villa with 50% down the left flank, not a lot centrally, and just tells you Ipswich did have a pretty good game defensively wise. But Watkins, obviously, one chance, one big chance, and one goal. Very, very solid from Ollie Watkins, with 33% of the chances coming down the right hand flank. And if you look at that, the right hand flank for Aston Villa is the left hand flank for Ipswich Town. Just shows you the way that Ipswich Town played in this game was very solid. And if you look at the chances created, right, 38.5% from the left, and centrally for Ipswich Town, it was 38.5 as well. And that, if you're looking at a Ipswich Town investment, I think Leif Davis on that left wing, and is it Amari Hutchinson? I believe it is. It is Amari Hutchinson. Let's just have a quick check. It was Jack Clark in this game. Shout out one of my best friends who did recommend to keep an eye on him, and I will be doing so. But if you look at the assist potential, Leif Davis dominating again, 7 chances created, 3 big chances created, and this guy at some point is going to take over big points. We come to look at non-pen XGI. I believe we have Leon Delap, should be up there with 0.57, which is one of the top in the game. And we've got 0.45 from Bailey, which is solid, and Watkins should have been up there too. Where is Mr. Ollie Watkins? Watkins, 0.53. So basically, most of the XG went to the strikers in this game. Davis with 0.52 was ranked third in this game, and just tells you his XGI is really solid. He's going to continue to create a lot of chances, and that's what you want from a 4.5 million defender. A lot of attacking threat, and Ipswich, obviously, I think they're unbeaten in the last 4 now, I believe. A lot of draws, but eventually they will get that win, and Leif Davis looking like a very good option. So he is a rising star for me. Standout performers, Liam Delap and Ollie Watford 1, West Ham 1, 0.37 only for Brentford in terms of XG accumulated, and it was 0.99 for West Ham. Now, if we take a look at distribution, chances created total for both teams, 0 chances for Brentford from the left-hand side, 25% centrally and 75% on the right flank. Just tells you everything coming through Mbumo and a little bit through Carvalho, and that's those central positions, but nothing from the left flank. Now, if we look at West Ham, it was an even split from both left and right flanks, and centrally they were creating the most chances, 50% centrally. And if we come to look at the expected stats, it was 0.78 actually open play XG from West Ham, which is solid, and Brentford with 0.3 only. So West Ham actually created more from open play than Brentford in this game. Obviously, Mbumo scored early, and if we take a look at the non-penalty XGI, Mbumo was top with 0.66. Just tells you if you don't own this guy, get him, because he's going to be 8 million before you know it if he can stay fit. Now, Antonio, surprisingly, 0.37 non-pen XGI, and Bowen third, which I did bring in Bowen this week, and it was 0.33 non-pen XGI. I was hoping for a return, but he did not perform that, and it's okay. He was third top in non-pen XGI, which is really solid. And we come to look at the chances created, big chances created in the game. Antonio actually with 1 chance created, 1 big chance created, anything else of note, and 3 chances created, sorry, for Bowen. And Bowen is one I would put on rising stars, because I'm telling you, a lot of people will be moving to this guy this week for the Ipswich at home fixture, and Spurs away we know is not a bad fixture as well. Definitely have a look at him if you're not so already. And Mbumo as a standout performer, obviously this guy 5 goals in 6 games, something like that. Really, really, really good stats so far. And Souček with 4 chances created. If you're in a draft league, he could be a really good pickup if he's still free on the market. Nothing really of note there. If we take a quick look at goal threats and take a quick look at shots on target in the game, we had anybody with 2? No, just really 1 from each. And Mbumo obviously with 2 shots. I was actually the most in the game, so it probably was a little bit of a cagey affair. But of any declining players, declining trends, I would probably put West Ham United's defense in a declining area, just because I don't know what's going on with Lopetegui's system. It seems like he wants to attack, but he also wants to defend, and it's kind of like lopsided the midfield. So I would say stay away from the West Ham defense, but look at the attack because I do think they will start to churn out some more XG in the coming game week. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1, and it was Everton's first win in the Prem, 0.89 XG for Everton, and actually Crystal Palace put up more XG than Everton in this game with 0.95, and if we come to look at open play XG versus set play XG, look at this. All of the XG in this match was from set plays, basically. Only 0.19 for Everton from open play and 0.7 from set plays. Crystal Palace with 0.22 from open play and 0.72 from set plays. And that just tells you, realistically, most you guys, if you're looking at an investment from these guys, you want the guys on set pieces, especially with Everton, because you know the way that Dyche plays is very factored towards set pieces. Okay, they like set pieces. They have a very good delivery guy in McNeil who was absolutely on fire in this game. If we take a look at chances created here, Everton with 42.9% coming down the left flank, a little bit centrally and a little bit on the right hand flank too. And Crystal Palace obviously dominating on the left side of the pitch with a little bit central, and that's mostly where Eze plays. So you can tell Eze's still doing decent, and he is in the top 5 players for non-pen XGI in this game. Obviously McNeil and interestingly Lindstrom and Ndiaye I'm putting on Rising Stars list. They had a pretty good game, and I think McNeil obviously standout performer. Disappointing Calvert-Lewin didn't get anything, but he was top 3 non-pen XGI in that game, so I wouldn't be panicking if you do own him. I would look at Mikolenko, I'd look at a little bit of Everton defense, or just keep your eye on Everton in weeks to come because they've got some really good fixtures coming. 2 promoted teams in the next 5, I believe, and they are a very, very good team and one to watch. Bournemouth 3, Southampton 1, 1.38 XG put up by Bournemouth across the game, 0.6 for Southampton, which is just okay, really. We come to look at the chances created and their splits. Now, Southampton created 42.9% down both flanks and not much centrally, and I think Bournemouth were quite strong centrally, obviously with packing the midfield in with a lot of players, and most of Bournemouth's chances did come down the center. Just shows you that for most of the game, Bournemouth did dominate the midfield areas, and that's a trend that we're continuing to see under Iraola. For Southampton, I mean, there was a little, it just really tells you that the striker spot's just kind of a no-go. If you're looking at a Southampton player, really should be from the wings, but honestly, how many of us are looking at Southampton players? Not many. I do have Dibbling in my team, and if we come to the non-pen XGI, Dibbling put up 0.18, which was top 6 in the game, did get the 75 minutes as I was predicting, but it's not amazing. Like, I don't think he had his best game, but I will say, though, that Russell Martin tried him in the false 9 spot. That is not where Dibbling plays. He is a pure right winger, and throwing an 18-year-old in a false 9 spot that he's never played before is not a smart idea for success. He could get the sack very, very shortly if that Arsenal result is big. Now, if we look at who's top for non-pen XGI in the game, Evan Nilsson obviously got his first Premier League goal, 0.44, and that was all XG. Dango got the jammiest goal ever, and obviously Lewis Cook with the 2 assists. Semenyo with a really, really good finish, only 0.2 XG in the game, which is okay, but if you're looking at a Bournemouth player, I would really be looking at Tavernier, who's really, really good from set pieces. This was one of the first times I've watched him for 75 minutes across the season, and he did really impress me. So if you're looking at any Bournemouth players, I'd be looking at Evan Nilsson, I would be looking at Semenyo, and I also would be looking at Tavernier. Semenyo, standout performer for sure. And if we come to look at the chances created, got 4 from Lewis Cook, who I don't think is an option at 5 million, 2 from Downs, 1 from Dibbling, but not many across the whole game. But you see here, Tavernier on good routes to points with the set pieces, 2 chances created, 1 big chance created, and he is a really good threat for that Bournemouth team, and he could be potentially on penalties, although I do think Evan Nelson will keep it. Any declining players, declining trends, I would be trying to get off a Southampton striker if I had a Stewart, if I had a Archer, if I had an Armstrong, and if you do have any of the Southampton defense, I would be getting off that as well, as I don't think they are going to be doing very, very well. The final game we're looking at is Nottingham Forest 0, Fulham 1. Fulham with the away win at the City Ground, which was pretty impressive. Raul Jimenez with a penalty, 1.33 XG total for Fulham across the game, only 0.8 from Nottingham Forest, although I will say Forest were missing Gibbs White in that game, and they had to play Tao Awani and Chris Wood in a, well, Wood was kind of playing as a false 9, almost really racking up the balls, coming long from defensive areas and knocking them down. That was basically all of his pass map in the game. If we come to look at the expected stats, we have Forest actually put up 0.53 XG from set plays, which is really good. Just shows you Forest are actually becoming a pretty good team from set plays, attacking wise and defensive wise. If you're looking for a defender, I would probably be investing in Milinkovic. Is it, or is it Nedeljkovic? I think it is Milinkovic. Yes, it is Milinkovic. So I would be looking at this guy, 4.5 million. He is the target from set pieces and very, very solid. He did score an offside goal in this game, I think, if I'm not mistaken. If we just look at non-pen XGI, Ina with 0.31. Actually, Ina was top of non-pen XGI. Really, really great if you do own him. But most of that was XA threat, which is still okay, still solid. And Hudson Odoi up there with 0.25 for Nottingham Forest. Smith Rowe with a lot of G, actually more XG than XA, 0.15 from Smith Rowe, 0.2 non-pen XGI across the whole game. So if you do have Smith Rowe, he was a pretty good player in this game. I would put him in the standout performers category, with Ina in Rising Stars for sure, and as well as Milenkovic in the Rising Stars category. Is there anything I would say is a declining player, declining trend in this game? I don't think so. I think both defenses are pretty solid. They're going to rack up a couple of cleans across the season. If you do have a 4.5 or a, Robinson or an Aino or a Murillo, I wouldn't be too worried about both of them. And I do think Forest are still quite a good defense. And if we take a look at here, chances created, it looks like Smith Rowe actually had the most with 3, but no big chances created in the game. Just tells you it was quite a cagey affair. And if we take a look at the distribution before we end the recap guide, and chances created, 42.9% from Fulham's left flank, and nothing really central from either team. Just shows you it was quite a cagey game in the midfield. And from the right hand side, Fulham created 42.9 as well, so it's an equal split. Nottingham Forest, most of that's coming through the left wing, actually. Most of that's coming through Hudson Odoi, who, when Forest fixtures do improve, I think around game week 12 or something around that, maybe game week 10, they have a couple good ones. He's the one I'm looking at from that Forest team, as well as Chris Wood. But that, I think, is everything. That's all for the recap guide for Game Week 6. If you found these insights helpful at all, don't forget to hit that like button. I've got more content coming this week, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, peace.